Hello, welcome to Outbound Podcast. I'm Perseus and I'm joined by Sage Zero. We're here to discuss Invictus launch week. We're going to cover the first couple days and go from there.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, so have you had a good look at ILW stuff so far?
Yeah, I did some wandering around the hall and checked out some of the new ships today. Lots of interesting stuff going on this time of year. We got the TAC that dropped and a few other ones, which is the big one, I think.
Idris.
A lot of people, yeah. And oh yeah, that's right, a cap dropped. Holy cow, an Idris.
Yeah. So let's go right into it. We've got the ILW page pulled up here. You can just get that right off on a home screen. Let's cover what's in there. I mean, you can play for free right now. That's going on right now. A lot of ships are available. They have an in-game section at Riker. What's that? Oh, that's on Area 18, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
ArcCorp is super busy. They docked an Idris there that you can go up into the ArcCorp tower and check out if you've never been on one. Some of us got to experience one when they were doing the Slicer Idris mission. Some of us enterprising folks hijacked it and decided to go drive around for a bit. But it's definitely in a much more complete state than it was then. But
now this is the Idris P laser version. I never got to do the hijacking. I was only ever, I don't know, I just wasn't playing when that was available. But I think, was that an M?
Yeah, it was an M. It was the one that has the railgun on the top.
Right. So they've said they've had some pretty significant differences. So it's not the M, which is going to be in Squadron 42, but this thing is pretty sweet. Pretty crazy. It's got its entire...
one we've messed around with as an org so far has been the one that has the gigantic laser beam on the front, which is cool. It's overpowered as hell right now. And once engineering gets put in, it'll probably be a little more balanced. But right now, the the laser's a little ridiculous. But it's a lot of fun.
Extra waves for this. I know at least the first announced waves were.
They said
it says
2 more days? I think
6 are available. They've since said they're going to do additional waves. But so that'll be tomorrow.
It is less per wave, though, just so that you're aware. So if you do want to get one, make sure you're there early.
Oh, okay.
You're
less holes. Okay.
Yeah.
Less holes available. So, all right. They do have, if you're returning to Star Citizen, you've been away for many years and you've just come back for ILW. You heard the Idris was here. We're going to take a look at stuff that you might be interested in. There is 2 pretty good discount starter packs, particularly this one. I think, and most people agree that this ship, which is the Adventure Titan, is one of the better starter ones. Pretty good package, 10-year insurance, 40,000 starting. And compared to other things available, it's it just blows them completely out of the water. Even stuff that's more expensive is far less. 6 months, it's definitely the best that you can get, at least for the next couple weeks. Of course, you got the Pisces, which is also kind of an Invictus. It's on an Invictus discount, but I think you would agree that the other one's better.
Yeah, by a lot. The Pisces is a neat little ship. Don't get me wrong. If you've ever seen like the Runabout shuttle from Star Trek, it's basically a Runabout shuttle. It's pretty neat, but it doesn't have a lot of firepower, and its utility goes away pretty quick when you consider how most of the game works. It's got short fuel range. It does have a QT drive, which is nice, considering it's a snub. It was originally, I think, built to be a snub for the Carrack. But they made a medical version of it that's actually pretty sweet.
I like that medical version, but this one's this pack's going to be available to the 29th. So if you do, this is going to be the best pack for, I don't know, probably quite a while. I would say they're gonna, until they release potentially something new.
Yeah.
I personally won't be buying one because I've already got a pack, and I'm only now buying starter packs that come with lifetime insurance. But I think this is a great deal. I mean, that's mainly because if I plan to upgrade them, I'm just decided I'm only buying stuff with LTI to upgrade. But that's probably a little nitpicky. 10 years is quite a long time. But
it gets your foot in the door, and if something else does come out with LTI, it makes it a good opportunity to upgrade to something bigger using the credit you have from that original pack. So
yeah, this is definitely the best option that you're probably going to see for several months, in my opinion.
Yeah, at least until probably whenever we get to IAE and they do drop a new starter or something like that.
Yeah, that's the end of the year.
Yeah.
CitizenCon and then IAE. They may come out with something new, like a new ship that might have LTI, but at least for now. Yeah. We've got these bundles. I guess if you really like the getup, get it. But for $30, personally, it's a skip for me. And I think you were...
Yeah,
you had other plans.
Yeah, I'd rather personally, I find the challenge in collecting armor and stuff in game from the loot tables a little more fun and rewarding than just buying stuff. But most of this stuff ends up in the loot pool eventually. So far, since the beginning of the game, just about every store subscriber item they've ever had in the game has been introduced into the loot pool in some shape or form. So there's a couple specific ones that haven't yet, but they've done a pretty good job at continually cycling more of that stuff into the game. So
yeah, and personally, I'm not a fan of the Vanguards. Just me. I just don't like. I can't get over the shape. Personally, I think the facilities are good on them when they don't have visual glitches. But I don't know. It's not speaking to me, so it's a pass for me. Looting game.
Right.
There's some real life merch. I'll skip that if you feel compelled to get real life merch for digital game. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, one of the big things they introduced during this one was some of the vehicle mod stuff. Flight blades. They added bomb racks. And it's nice to see them adding a little bit more accessorizing to the ships. I like that. They may not have put them out in the best way, and that there's been some controversy in the community about them paywalling some of this stuff at the beginning, and they've been we as a community have jumped their case about doing that before, and that's why previously they had put in the Atlas whenever they did the changes to the cargo gameplay, and they went ahead and put it directly into the in-game store so that you had the option to buy it in-game, and you didn't have to wait for them to decide to put it on the market in-game as a after the promotion period for it. This time they kind of fell back on that habit, which was a little disappointing, and I am glad that they have changed their stance on it and that they're not going to be doing this stuff going forward, because they've got to learn these lessons.
They really do, and I know it got some bad publicity when they had this come out. This is something that they kind of previously announced, but they hadn't previously announced that it would be basically paywalled.
I like the concept. The flight blades concept is cool.
The plan is it's going to be available a little later, just in game. But at the same time, it didn't. For me, it wasn't like a knife in the back, but it was a punch in the gut. So
yeah, it was one of those kind of like, really, guys, we didn't learn this lesson already, and a little bit of disappointment there. For me anyway. But flight blades are cool. For those of you who don't know what they are or what the concept is, very much alike inside of your vehicle, just how it has a computer system in there. What these are specialty tunings for the thrust controls and the control surfaces of each one of these ships, and it will change the way the flight characteristics work a little bit. I like basically, trading off forward velocity for pitch and roll velocity, like that kind of stuff. So very nitpicky. It's not super useful if you're just somebody that just flies, a ship just to get from A to B and to do transport and stuff. You're not going to notice the difference. But if you are a high performance dogfighter or somebody that likes to experiment with the way that these ships fly, this is more or less what they're meant for, is fine-tuning it and trying to get it so that it's more comfortable for you and the way that you want to fly that ship, and to give people a little more options. I like it for that. It's also, this is kind of the intro for what may potentially be AI blades, which are computerized like turrets and stuff and ships, as kind of a holdover for not having like NPC crews and that kind of stuff, that they had kind of discussed a while back and maybe getting introduced at some point. But a lot of people kind of see this as being the starting point of that.
But I mean, if you're coming back, just skip all of this.
Yeah,
and honestly, you got enough on your plate just getting.
It'll be in game eventually, and
fine.
If you care enough,
then
you can
get
just
into
buy
this.
it. Yeah, exactly. It's nothing to worry about, but just so that everybody understands what the scope of it is. The other thing they added was bomb racks and alternative weapons for the Nova tank. The Nova tank has a big chain gun, which is kind of cool. Yeah, but the Nova tank is also not in a great state right now. You think if they would add a gun in, that they would maybe do a little work on the vehicle itself. Just saying, a little bit of critique there.
Yeah. I don't have a Nova. I don't run any of these. Personally, I'm not buying any of this stuff. Just I'll find it in game.
The missile turret for the Scorpius was cool.
Hats and shirts on some of this stuff for whatever reason. It's like, okay, just so they can jack the price up a little bit more. So yeah, I'm just skipping all of that. I'll find it later.
The missile turret on the Scorpius out of those is arguably, I think, the best thing. The Scorpius is traditionally a 2-man fighter, but if you swap the top turret out with that missile turret can also be fired from the pilot seat. So basically you don't need a second pilot if you don't need one, which is kind of cool because it kind of makes it a little more flexible, kind of like the Super Hornet is, where you can.
That is actually quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a good change because the Scorpius itself is a very cool fighter craft, and it's considered a heavy fighter, and there aren't many good.
It's in a bad spot
class
because
heavy fighters.
Yeah, you need to get 2 people on all these.
Yeah. So it's a good option for that, and I think that was a nice change. Even if it's $30 for it, it's actually kind of worth it.
I would buy it in game. Let's see if they actually put it in game. The Heartseeker turret kind of calls to me about this going to be in a similar position.
Yeah, I think so
but,
too.
The wingtip guns are. I don't know if I'd even buy it just because of that. It's an earning game because of that convergence issue with the wingtip laser cannons. But what can you do?
Yeah, they're trying. I like where their brain's at. Their implementation needs to be a little bit better. Bombs are cool. They were mainly put in for counter capital ship gameplay, but as usual, their implementation here is not great. Bombs are in kind of a wild state right now, and that the way that the damage is modeled. It's supposed to affect like components of the ship, and there's supposed to be things like armor and shield resistance and that kind of stuff to basically stop bombs from being as effective as they should be. But right now, none of those systems are turned on, and bombs right now have 100% penetration and will just literally vaporize anything, no matter the strength of the bomb.
This stuff just smells to me like they rushed it into ILW for sales, and it wasn't completely ready. It's right here it just states they haven't finished implementing it on some of the fighter craft that are intended to be able to equip them. So it's just they didn't implement it in time, but they still pushed it for sales.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting on some of these, like the Freelancer, that
you can put bombs on Freelancer.
It doesn't usually have money in terms of weapons. It's pretty underpowered. Some of these could be interesting to see how that affects them, because I've not done any research on the size of the bombs, but some of these have a Mercury that doesn't usually have bombs. Some of these are.
Most of these bomb racks are all size 3 bombs.
Yeah, but it's just kind of it changes some ships that really didn't have that kind of functionality at all.
Yeah.
The Mercury's is a data runner as far as the Talon is a light strike stealth fighter. Freelancer is a kind of utilitarian craft where you can do a lot of things, but isn't particularly strong. So giving it bomb capability is kind of interesting, but at the same time, I'm not interested for 38 USD. Sorry.
Yeah, it'll be in the game at some point. You could also steal it off of somebody's ship if you blow it up, so that's also an option. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there hunting for some of that stuff, including the flight blades, which you could also salvage out of a ship, theoretically. So yeah, I mean, like, I like the accessorizing. I think it's good that they're doing that kind of stuff. I hope they learned their lesson with this stuff, because like they've got to stop bungling the monetization on this. You can only abuse your community so much, and if you don't get this stuff kind of figured out here, or like your soft launches for this stuff, and do it in a way that is like pro community and not just purely exploitative, it's you build goodwill that way, and you keep valued customers and that kind of stuff. And if you're not, you got to learn that lesson.
I think the point is on some people is you might as well just have a subscription fee if you're going to just start nickel and diming everybody for everything. And they got one shot on Squadron 42, which is supposed to release allegedly next year. And you just can't afford to have bad publicity going into that. So let's hope they figure that shit out.
All right, so let's get rolling, shall we?
Aegis. Yeah. Peacekeeper, we briefly discussed it earlier, but it's now available. It's quite expensive, hull limited. If you're even considering this, you already know everything about it probably, and you've watched like 3 hours of videos and checked it out. If you don't know nothing about it, it is when we manned it in our outfit or our organization, Solaris. How many people did they were talking about? Like 30 to man it, pretty much in the most effective manner. I think we got by with like 18. We had 18 on ours.
Yeah, between 12 and 18. It's fluctuated a little bit, but it was definitely
to man it
definitely enough.
More optimally. Closer to 30. So it's a huge ship. How many meters is this?
It's definitely bigger than the Polaris by a fair amount. Not only in length, but also it's like thicker. It's got more space inside. It's got a full-on hangar compared to like the Polaris's little box hangar.
Length 240 meters. Yeah. It's a huge ship.
It's huge. Yeah, it's mind-blowingly huge actually in a game like this. Just finally seeing something like this realized in a game like this is honestly pretty fantastic. So I give them a lot of credit for that, even if it's been a kind of a blunder.
It was a little rocky, but hey, they got it in.
It's really impressive that it's in and it works, and people just don't fall out of it randomly. Like they compared to some of the other ships they've built, they did a damn good job. They really did. You compare the design on this and the potential for jank to like the Reclaimer, and the Reclaimer is a freaking nightmare. But the Idris I haven't had a single issue with it so far, other than I think that one time I got stuck in the front hangar when it opened up. You got to be real careful because that strut in the middle will get you caught. Just more for coming out of it when you're going in and out of EVA, just because the line for like where the gravity kicks in is kind of in a weird spot, and it will drop you and you'll just kind of get stuck there. So just be careful.
All right. Onto the ships that are now available. They're all going to be combat focused. Here's the Avenger Stalker. It's the brother of the Titan. Just a little bit more stealthier, interdiction type. Pretty sure people would just still recommend this one just in terms of multifunctionality. It's a fighter, but for $60, I still feel like if you're gonna pop 60 on a fighter, you might as well get a Gladius for 30 more. I don't know. Earn it in game for me is where that's at.
Yeah, unless it's part of a starter package, you may as well just get it in
starter,
game. Yeah. All these are pretty cool. The Warlock is the only one I would consider like better than the normal Stalker. The Warlock loses the cargo space in the back, but you get an EMP, and that EMP, especially with the components coming in with engineering, is going to be hella strong, and it's already hella strong.
Eclipse is an incredible ship. It's pretty unique in its functionality, but it's also $300.
Just buy it in game. Just buy it in game. It's like
buy in game
2 mil in game, 3 mil. It's not.
You've got a torpedo, stealth craft, but buy it in game. this one, the Gladius, it's like the S-Class premier. I mean, I guess it's top 5 at least fighter in terms of, and it's
light fighter.
Been for some years. Yeah, light fighter. Personally, I own this one in my fleet, mainly because I anticipate using it quite a bit, and if I do die, I want to have freaking warranty on it. So that's the reason I have a fighter. I only have one. I only plan to have one fighter that has been purchased with real money. And I better like it. Otherwise, I'll just upgrade it or get rid of it. Yeah. So Gladius, if you want one, you already know everything about it. It's pretty much always available though. So if you do want to spend money, you could just get something else that's not available all the time, and
it's also
to this in game.
It's also rumored that that's going to be one of the main ships you're flying around it in Squadron 42. So
yeah, that's why it's quite complete and it feels very polished. And when you are flying it,
the HUD's good. It's got a great HUD.
As far as I'm aware, this is just a skin difference. So I'm like, for me, this is no way. You know,
it used to be a loadout difference. It came with a different loadout, like a default loadout.
Yeah.
And it had some minor flight characteristic changes, I think, which is something now that they've kind of taken away from it, and it's relegated to what the flight plates are going to be. So originally it had some different tuning, but they got rid of that, and then they added the flight plates. Yeah. So
they may have to. They're going to have to come up with something to make that somehow better.
Yeah.
For the extra $30 you're buying it for.
Yeah, they're just paying the skins.
Or is it 30 or 20? Yeah, I think it's 20 in it.
It's 20, yeah.
Yeah, Hammerhead. It's a large ship. The problem here is if you're even considering this, you have an organization already.
Yeah.
And it's likely they've got something better in mind that they want to use. I've never understood. Obviously, the role here is anti-fighter, but the way the game is going, it's we're gonna have bigger ships and they're gonna have armor that's more immune. It has a lot of guns, it has a lot of angles, but I think most people are gonna say, if I have 5 people in a ship, let's go man my Perseus, and instead of getting this Hammerhead.
Yeah, the Hammerhead is a ship that is built is a big ship built to support bigger ships. Like at minimum, to crew all the guns, that's 6 people plus the pilot. Yeah. So, and then you're gonna need an engineer whenever the engineering comes on, at least one, and that's 6 people that you could have crewing a larger ship, which makes a little more sense. You're gonna want to prioritize that first, but if you have the manpower, why not?
Yeah. Coincidentally, it is one of the top ships to buy in terms of value, in terms of earning game per dollar. Each dollar is worth 66,000 AUEC you spend on it. So I don't know. Max crew 10, but again, if I got 10 people, I'm probably in something else. I just feel like it's just not exciting. I wouldn't want to be on one. Here's the Idris. If you do check on it, it's hull limited. If you are interested in one, you're gonna have to look into your time zone when you can buy it. It's only going to be available for the next couple days. So, yeah, good luck if you're going to try to get one. Javelin, same story.
Yeah, most of these bigger ships, this is another in concept ship. So this one I believe is already modeled in the Squadron 42 of the game, so it's more done than you would think, but it's probably going to be wild for it's in the game.
Yeah, you can tour. You're able to tour it. I'm not sure if you're able to tour it this year.
No, they didn't have it there this year.
Yeah, but it's a fascinating ship in terms of what is possible for the game. But it also is $3,000 if you better have 50 friends that you're pretty tight with already. So, yep. Nautilus. This is in concept, and they've already admitted it. It's going to need a complete rework. It's quite expensive. It's a gamble. It is really entirely a gamble on picking one up. Still, though, it is in concept. If you want to pick up an upgrade, you could lock in the price. So if you want one, you could have one. Lock it in at 25. It's up to you. They did have a CCU available earlier. It might come back at the end of the ILW event, and you could, I don't know, save. I think you might even save $40 on it if you were gonna get it. But it is a gamble. Store credit though, if you have it, just laying around, lock it in. And move on to the Redeemer. Okay.
Yeah, Redeemer is a pretty nasty gunboat. Cool ship for friends. You know, I mean, can't really go wrong with that. It's also $330 though, and if you don't have a multi-crew ship and you want one, it's a good choice. If you just like doing the combat side of things, more so if you're combat, doing combat things like co-op, like but otherwise there's other options you can get more use out of probably.
I agree. At that price, it's getting into other ships' territories of either above and below, like the Paladin, the Valkyrie, the Starlancer TAC, which is going to be with $375. I mean, this is getting pretty pricey. And a lot of people, this has been nerfed a little bit. I think we'll come out and we'll see if it gets better armor that might equalize in terms of its peer competitors, etc. But for me, I'm not interested in it. I picked myself up a TAC, which I like more, I think. Retaliator. It's an incredible ship, honestly, of what it brings in terms of its ordnance, but it's very deceptive in its price. Because they say, it comes with a torpedo and everything else. No, you have to buy those. You buy 2 compartments in the rear and front. I wonder if it's even in here. Get details. It doesn't even tell you that you need to buy more options to equip it with this torpedo bay. It doesn't even say it at all. But each bay costs $50, and there's 2 bays that you slide in. The front one and then the rear one. So I've got it, but I plan on getting rid of it.
It's one of the only actually modular ships in the game, though, which is a fun note.
I guess what I've done is actually I just have the hull, and I bought the modules in game, so that it's an option, and that's the only reason I've kept it. Still has a lot of seats, and it's the only thing the pilot controls is torpedoes if you install those modules. Otherwise, you need multi-crew gunners.
Saber is a cool fighter. It's light, it's a little on the fragile side, but it's also probably has one of the smallest EM signatures you can get in the game at the moment. So if you like doing the stealthier stuff, it's definitely in that wheelhouse.
I like it. I've got one. It's just different. A lot of fighters are just how you feel about them. You know, how the view. This one has a pretty good view. You know, most fighters do, but sometimes the fighters just got to speak to you. You know,
the cockpit design in the Saber is pretty nice. I like it.
Yeah. You know. We've got the other variants of it, the Comet. I don't know. I think this one just switched up the default.
It was like a limited. It was like a limited design, the default, and then it has like a unique skin for that version of it.
I don't know. It didn't seem too different to me. But, you know, Firebird. It's very popular right now due to its.
It's uniquely, it's like a missile variant, kind of like some of the other ships has. It's got a special missile rack on the bottom that can fire 6 missiles off at once in a volley, which is pretty nasty. It also like packs like 50 something missiles, which is kind of insane for a ship its size. It used to be super overpowered because you could lock onto somebody outside of their ability to lock you with missiles, and you could just missile them before they could actually like see you, which was pretty crazy. But they've nerfed it a little bit, so it's a little more balanced now. It's still a very nasty PvP ship though.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people say it's not nerfed enough. I think what really needs to change it's really the games thing is ordnance needs to cost money, etc. else. So I mean, if there's other factors associated that are really would bring this into balance, I think. But,
yeah,
armor.
The risk versus reward situation's got to be a little more, realistic, I think. Harbinger Vanguard ship, could be good, but it's dated. It's a very dated ship. It's one of the oldest like heavy ships and like heavy fighter type ships in the game, and leaves a lot to be desired.
I think that's a great way to describe it. It needs interior polish. The bespoke cannons kind of irritate me. Like, it feels like they don't do too much, but you're also locked into them as well. It does have good missiles when they work, but missiles are sometimes wonky. Yeah, it's a big ship though too. It's a big ship. It's a big target. In terms of, I wouldn't recommend it personally, but it's just me. Is it one of the flying game ones? No, it was earlier, I think.
For the free flight ones, no, it's not.
Yeah.
You can rent them though.
Hoplite.
Same thing. It's just a dropship variant of the Vanguard.
I think these are just dated.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame. This one's the most interesting one, I think, though, because of its it's a QED, right?
It's EMP.
EMP.
The old EMP on the Sentinel used to be pretty unique and would literally turn everything off in a ship mid-air after a charge up time. They changed the way the EMPs work since then. It originally had kind of like a bespoke style EMP that it would charge up, and then when it went off, everything within the radius, your ship would go take distortion damage, and all the power would cut off in your ship for like 30 seconds. So you would just be in free fall. So I got into a fight over one of the like drug sites. What are they called? When they were doing the event back in the day, there was Jumptown. That's the one. Sorry, having a brain fart moment there. Yes, but at Jumptown, we were fighting over Jumptown, and somebody came in and set off the EMP and literally knocked like 5 of us out of the air, just straight into the ground. It was pretty wild.
Yeah. I think this is the least interesting one, actually. I think I even like the bomber variant more.
Yeah, I could see the bomber one, especially considering you can strap bomb racks to these now. It's not the worst idea.
We'll see if it kind of revives them. But I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen anyone else in it.
Yeah,
it's just not as.
It's usually an NPC baddie. It's one of those ships.
Yeah. This one's the last one for Aegis, the Vulcan repair one. I think this is an interesting ship to pick up in terms of locking into its concept price. Pick up something. Lock in on $10 from the Zeus potentially. That's what I've done. I've picked one up, just ready for that. Not bad. I think it's gonna have drones. Here's one of them in the picture, is repairing its friends. I imagine this one is going over to repair up that Gladius. Interesting support ship. We're gonna see how that's implemented. It's already anticipated as drones though, which I think is cool.
Yeah, they showed a little bit of the like tier 0 for drones, which was the construction drones at CitizenCon last year. So hopefully that means that they're actually working on them, because there's a couple of ships in the game now that have them that don't really have the functionality like the Carrack, which is supposed to have its own drones. It even has like drone operator seats in it. So I mean, clearly they intend on doing it.
Got a few
got the Invictus
skins.
Yeah.
Just skins. If you like any of these ships in particular, I think it's worth it. I actually do have this one, and I think it's incredible.
The blue and gold is pretty nice on it. My only complaint is I really do hope later down the line you can take the decals off. Because not that I dislike it just should be optional. Is my thing. If I want to put the org decal on there,
don't buy these. Never buy these.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, it's just dumb. I mean, if you've got this much money, what are we really doing?
Yeah.
There's probably the better options if you're gonna dump 10K on something. But,
I think sometimes they just put that stuff there just because they can.
Yeah, I do wonder how many they actually sell.
Right.
All right, Greycat.
Greycat has
an exciting new vehicle.
Yep. It's a pretty nice little vehicle too. Honestly, it's a good equivalent to like the Ursa style vehicles. They've done a good job with the design in this one. I hope to see more vehicles like this because this one's actually pretty ground stable when you drive it compared to some of the other wheeled vehicles. So
I like it. I like it because of what I anticipate the future functionality is going to be. I see it more usable for mining because inside it has 2 suit lockers. I don't know if a lot of people don't actually mine, I feel like, but the environmental conditions can sometimes be really shitty. So having extra suits, whatever else, if you go to a cold planet and you mine, you have a cold suit in there, and maybe you go to a hotter planet and you would rather have a cold suit. Well, you got it right there.
Yeah, I mean,
available for use.
The
no matter what you're doing.
The roadmap was just talking about radiation and stuff on planets and showed off that new radiation suit. So I mean, yeah, that stuff is definitely going to be very important here in the future. I think
it is smaller, so it does have 1 jump seat. I do think it's interesting. If you get a Freelancer Max, I believe you can fit 2 on there. The Freelancer Max has 4 seats and 1 turret, but essentially you can take your 4 people total, 3 friends, and you a pilot if you're a pilot. Have 2 of these in the back, jump out, do some hand mining, have everybody have a suit. Everyone can have a time, fun time in the Freelancer Max. Do some hand mining, do some, little light courier stuff together. Everyone's got a slot in a vehicle. Interesting. I think it's a compelling thing. It's just, it only fits in the same spot that Ursa does, though, so it feels like it's limited. If they made it smaller, I think we'd be seeing a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Potentially, especially if it fit into a Zeus or something. But I think I saw a comparison about this thing where it's bigger than it's a medium tank, but it's bigger than a real life M1 Abrams main battle tank. In terms of its in-game meters to the real life counterpart. So we'll see what a light vehicle, how light that'll be. Will that be MBT sized?
I mean, the Tumbrel ones aren't that big. That's more like a Jeep, and I guess that's what they consider a light vehicle, is one of the Tumbrel Storms.
It is available with Warbond. Is the Concierge version? I don't know. I think because I have Concierge, you pick up an extra Moonstone paint, but I think you can pick it up for Warbond, and just get the lifetime insurance on it. And if you don't have Concierge status, you just minus the paint. Also available for 50 for store credit, but I think that's 10-year insurance.
Cyclone
limit. Yeah. There is a couple paints available for it as well. Got a couple different. I think is it just? Yep. Greycat's just only got the 1 item.
Yep.
They didn't put the paints here, so we'll see it next time. All right. Day 2 RSI.
Nothing new really with RSI other than just rumors that the Perseus is going to be coming out sometime soon. The expectation is that it's going to be at IAE, but we'll see if that comes to fruition. Also, the Apollo Medvac is also due to be out according to the roadmap. Most of the work on it's complete, so they're just doing the final pass and marketing. So that's another one that people are expecting to be out this year.
I think this is probably the last time you see it at this price. And I think if you are interested in it, you should lock in some kind of if you're get a CCU set up, buy this, You can even, set up your chain. If you don't know what CCUs are, put in the comments that you need help on a CCU, and we'll make a video on about CCUs. But it's basically you can lock in a price on a ship that you're interested in and upgrade to it and maintain this price. This is a concept price. It's going to go up. Basically guaranteed it's going to go up from its concept to, I don't know, maybe 315, maybe more potentially. But yeah, the idea is you upgrade from a LTI item, such as that MTC. You bought an MTC with Warp Bond money, and you upgrade that and into an LTI Apollo medevac if that's what you want.
Or the Apollo Triage.
Apollo Triage, yeah. I'll admit I picked up upgrades on both just to have it locked in. If I don't like them, I'll just melt it back into store credit. I think the medical area. We don't know. We just don't know a lot about what the medical plan is. They say a lot, but
yeah, it could change. They even talked about having. They even talked about having the medical beds be like components and being able to swap them out, based off of the power in the ship and stuff. So, I don't think most of that stuff is going to be figured out until they figure out what direction they want to go.
Good. Overall positive vibes from this, though. So.
Yeah, the Apollo's a pretty cool ship. Honestly, most of the RSI medium-sized ships I'm looking forward to, just because, medium to, large ships, because there's not a lot of them in the game, and the ones they do have are pretty damn cool.
Just skip this. This is basically worthless. If you got $40 to spend, you might as well just spend it on something else, right?
Get a Titan if you want to start
exactly.
a ship.
And just spend 20 more and get a much better capable ship.
Andromeda is my favorite workhorse.
So classic. It's showing its age in terms of interior, but definitely quite functional. Multi-boat, multi-crew ship.
It's a great $240 multi-crew ship that can literally do just about anything.
Yeah, I would still upgrade. Once I'm getting into the 115 plus range, I'd be looking to try to find some CCUs to upgrade this into. If you got $240 to spend now, nothing wrong with picking up the 10-year package. So, kind of seeing if you enjoy the game with multi-crew capabilities. It's a very capable ship. Aquila, I don't know. My overall opinion on this is I don't think I've ever seen anyone that actually use it and like it. They've got this, and they wish they had one of the Phoenix or something else. They wish they had the Phoenix or the Taurus or the Andromeda.
The Aquila is a cool ship, but right now the role it was designed for isn't really in the game. It's meant to be an exploration ship. It's got a little bit more cargo room, and instead of having two turrets, top and bottom, the bottom one is actually a deep scanning array. So as soon as
the top one that does that,
or is it top one? Yeah. So as soon as the scanning gameplay is in the game, and there's a reason for it to exist, I feel like it'll be better. And also, in my opinion,
think you're right. Once there's scanning is in, it could be good. But at the same time, I feel like they bungled this because the Zeus ES is cheaper and I think has just as good.
Does the Zeus have a ES
at least
have a
stated radar?
Okay.
Let's see. It's supposed to have avionics, one radar. Of course, it doesn't say. I know the ES has a large radar, so assuming this doesn't have a capital radar, it's just as good, and it has a scanner turret. So I feel like this needs to rework on its capability and function. It's a pass for me. Starlancer TAC fills its role even better, in my opinion.
I agree.
In terms of exploration and functionality.
I will say the dome glass on that one is pretty cool, and I wish they gave you that option for some of the other ones.
Yeah, I will say that, on all the other ones, it's got this extremely annoying crossbar that
in your pane of view when you're driving.
You get used to it after a while, and then after flying something else, that immediately resets and you go back to into your constellation. You hate it, and you wish that thing never existed.
they've talked about redesigning it, and there's been a fair amount of movement in Spectrum about kind of talking them to redesign it.
They need to.
So hopefully with the gold
at the very
passes,
least, they need to do it on this thing.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So this is the luxury kind of touring. I guess it's a space yacht type vibe, and
the captain's
but
yacht.
it's still got a very dated exterior. It's $350. It's like we are getting into some other kind of territory. It is one of the only ones that has a PDC on it, though.
Yeah,
that's it's quite interesting. It's an interesting ship. It is hull limited right now. I guess it's sold out right now. So, rip.
They also do.
I'm not actually sure when the next waves would be, if there is any, but I think it is an interesting ship. But its current price is a little confuddled because luxury touring doesn't have really a role other than whatever really. Players, create role play wise.
I really hope they do the crazy taxi thing though, and just let you do transport missions with NPCs. It'd be fun. I
think this one is the Constellation Taurus is probably a top 5 ship for a lot of people.
Yeah. For industrial and transport, you can't beat it.
It's one of the top ships, I would say, for $200 as well. There was a CCU. It might reappear at the end of the ILW event. But incredible ship. Highly recommended, for me at least, because of its cargo space. It's like 170 something. It does have that included. 168. I would say that you probably only use 140. It'll hold a Ursa. It has a tractor beam that comes right from underneath that turret, and it will be able to. You can self-load your own cargo bay. So if you park it right, you can do quite a bit without having to get out and run around everywhere and hand drag shit. So very, very capable ship. We got
the links.
We got the links.
The luxury Ursa.
It's just a fancier Ursa with I don't know.
With leather seats and colored glass. That's pretty much all you got to know.
Yeah, it's like all right, cool, thanks. Mantis.
The Mantis. Now I don't know that I would blow $150 on it, but the Mantis is kind of unique in its role as a PvP ship. It's one of the only 2-phase quantum interdiction ships in the game, meaning that not only can it quantum jam a single ship, it also has the ability to project a sphere and quantum scramble anybody around it and intercept people's quantuming through it, which means you can use it to snare and trap people.
Yeah, so the snare ability is what makes it quite interesting, which is pull other people out of quantum. The other ones, the dampener just prevents people from using it or from getting away. This one will pull people out, which is obviously very powerful, very fragile. You obviously need a team to use this. So if you're even considering this, you already have a team and an org that need that role filled. I just buy it in game.
Yeah, just buy it in game. For what it lacks in survivability, though, it does make it up for in speed. It's quite fast.
This one, extremely anticipated ship.
Allegedly dropping this year, so we'll see.
Yeah, coming out this year. Obviously, I've acquired one, seeing as I'm Perseus, so I had to buy one. I did pick up. There was a CCU. It was quite good. Size. These are alleged to be size 8, being upgunned. Currently, they're stated to be size 7s, but they're supposed to be increasing those to size 8 based on some statements that CIG said at was it a Shanghai meeting or event. It's got a military tax. It's not a capital ship. It's a sub-capital ship. So it's very limited freight. It should be able to put an Ursa in if you wanted to have some medical capability. It does not have an onboard medical bay, but it's going to be a very powerful ship, able to punch up above its weight, as you might say. So it's supposed to be heavily armored. I think everyone's just curious to see how this one will play out.
It's like a tankier, higher power version of like a Hammerhead. It's a little bit bigger than a Hammerhead, I think, right?
Is it? I don't think so.
I thought it had more interior than the Hammerhead did, from my understanding. Because the Hammerhead doesn't surprisingly have a lot of interior. It's got like the cargo ramp in the middle, and then it's just a big ring, and there's a little section near the front.
Shit.
But the whole role for the Perseus is that, whereas the Hammerhead is mostly for fighter screen, the Perseus is meant to take shots at capital ships. So you're not. It's got a little bit of self-defense as far as like air. Yeah, I mean it's close. Yeah, way closer than I thought. But I mean, it's gonna have big DECA. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Obviously, the crew actually is, I think, smaller on a Perseus. It's got 2 main guns here, so 2 a pilot and 2 remote turrets. So I mean, we're 5, 6 a front-on engineer. We got 6 gunners alone on the Hammerhead. There's a pilot, engineer, maybe a co-pilot. So I mean, this thing's a max crew of 10. I think this is a max crew of 7.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, still extremely anticipated. Pretty much the last time we're going to see it at this price as well. Polaris.
Currently in the game.
I think this is going to stay at this price. They don't want to go over 1,000 on this ship. It's available in... Is it not? It's not available in game, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, you can fly it in game, but you can't buy it in game, right?
You have to earn it through Wicklow.
Okay. Yeah.
If you do the Wicklow capital ship collector thing, you can get the Wicklow Polaris. It takes a while, and I think the few people I've seen who documented them doing it on YouTube, they said it took them about 4 to 5 weeks of about maybe 10 to 15 people working on it.
I know some people got it pretty fast, but yeah, I mean, if you want to man one of these, just join an org that's got one. Honestly, on some of these larger ships, join an org. I pretty much guarantee you someone, if you have big enough, I know my org, our org has like 3 or 4 of these. We got an Idris too, and we're manning those. So if you want to be part of these, just join an org that's got one of these, and you forget about paying $9.75. Just join an org. It's a torpedo boat.
It's got pretty good guns on it too.
Considering this, you know where it fits in the game already. You've been part of the Star Wars or Star Citizen universe for a little while before you considering this.
And Scorpius is the new wave X-wing. Has its issues, as Perseus mentioned earlier, with the wing-mounted guns and the convergence and being able to hit targets when they're close. It's not so bad once far away and you've got the gambling that kind of makes up for it. It's just whenever they get close, it gets difficult because the convergence makes it difficult for you to hit them like in the center because your wings are spalled out. The old Star Wars problem, which is one of those things that when people think about making this stuff in sci-fi designs, they're like, you know what, this looks cool. Is it practical? Not really.
Yeah. It's a cool looking ship, and maybe the real cool is the way you go, but not for me. And not at that price.
It is a 2-man ship, so it is nice if you and your friend want to jump out somewhere and do some bounty missions. You can both pile into the ship. Somebody doesn't have to fly it, so I mean it's nice for that. It's a good co-op ship.
Yeah, I think for this kind of price, so you have a Super Hornet.
Yeah, probably.
Which I think a lot of people would say is probably a little better. It is a medium fighter, but as opposed to a heavy fighter. But I think in terms of maneuverability, just use, effectiveness, common effectiveness, I'd rather be in the Hornet.
Yeah, I'd say the Hornet definitely beats it out. The Antares is from a similar standpoint.
This is a different story though. I'd rather have this as a 2-person, which is interesting because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
But it's got the EMP and Quantum Jammer.
Yep, it's similarly unique to the Mantis in that it has both a single target quantum jammer and an EMP rolled into one craft. So it's basically built for PvP in any shape or form. It is still 2-man. One person operates the QT jammer and the EMP, and the other person is the pilot and has all the guns. So
it is an incredibly boring job, though.
It's very boring. Yeah.
The QED and EMP. That's all you're doing. You're looking at a screen and you click with your mouse at the perfect timing and hope it works, and then go back to waiting around for prey, basically. But
riding around on a coffin.
The options is actually quite interesting in terms of its capabilities, at least.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in the future. But I don't have one, mainly due to how boring it is. And you need another person with you to use its functions fully.
Yeah, I guess you can't put the new missile turret on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, only that one.
Yeah.
I guess I am curious to how this one goes, but the convergence factor is still a concern.
You can adjust the convergence. I haven't tried it since they fine-tuned it a little bit, but I am curious to see how it works. I might end up buying one in game just to see.
I will say I have a manual on my joystick. I've got a lever, and I've manually configured my convergence setting so the distance between I have a lot more play in this little lever, so it's more sensitive to the region. At some point when we go over peripherals, I'll make a video on this switch where I've got full control over the convergence all the way from 10 meters to 1,500 meters. And then, you can converge the default, you can change your default configuration and the settings. I've got this completely tricked out where I just hit the button, it's 1,000, and then I can configure further. But that is something that is technically possible to try to fix some of these issues. But you have to have the right peripherals, and that makes it a lot easier. Yeah. Ursa.
Yield Ursa. Can't go wrong with
incredibly functional. It's an all-round rover, is what it is.
It is the work mule of the spacer, for sure.
Yeah.
This one too.
But I think pretty much everyone's got this one instead because it's got a.
Yeah, this is the goat, the real goat right here.
Yeah. So I've got both. I think I use this one the most, but we'll see with ships like the TAC now. Maybe I think a lot of people are going to start seeing this one more often because if you got a TAC, it's already got med beds. You have room now for this, whereas in the past you kind of just had to bring this.
I still think it'll be useful regardless because, for example, doing the Hathor missions, having these parked around just in case there's an emergency out there, and then somebody can just spawn right back in the bed if they get capped, running around Hathor. So, there's going to be an advantage to that over the TAC, which you would have to, run from wherever you're, exploring from all the way back, So, I think...
Yeah, I think the seats... I like having the more seats in as well.
It is nice to have the more seats, and that's the one thing that the Ursa only technically has, 2 seats, and then you can have somebody lay down in the bed.
Yeah. This ship, I picked this up. I think there's a lot of promise, and this is a concept ship price. So if you want to pick it up and lock in that price before it goes up once it's released, now would be the time to do it. I think I don't know. I really don't know when it's coming out, but the other 2 are out. There's rumors of a 4th one. So I wouldn't be surprised if this comes sooner than later. I locked mine in at this price. I'll CCU it and get it off for cheaper. I think it's going to be a very functional multi-crew ship for a small team, fun. So we'll see how it goes. But I think this has a lot of promise. If you do have a couple friends, you're interested in bounty play, potentially. It's got extra turrets. It's got extra functionality if you compare it to the to the other two, which is the ES version, the exploration version, and the cargo version. I've picked up these two. I don't like this one, but I think this has a lot of promise for smaller multi-crew gameplay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So yeah, you got built-in bounty functions in the MP and QED. And that's it for RSI, Origin. Almost done with this video. But Origin, I think they've only got a couple ships. It's just the A series, which are the alleged fighter series. This is a joke. Don't buy this. In terms of maneuverability, it's not up to par. If you want to buy 100 series just to have the fuel functionality of the idea with the entire A series is it re-scoops hydrogen out of the air or space and keeps your hydrogen tanks filled up. You know, that's the point of this entire series, and it's not for combat. Just buy the 100 or 135, which is the cargo variant. I think the 135 is honestly the better one because it's got more cargo. If you want something, it's got the same shape, price.
The 325.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just you may as well get a better charge. I mean, like 10.
Yeah,
10,
it's
10,
like it says it's a starter, but you might as well just have this
Yeah,
thing, which is
yeah.
actually I have this thing and I think it's quite capable.
Yeah, it's
I got
actually
the 315.
it's actually
and
my
this
original
one.
pledge right there. I got it when it was $50
Yeah.
as the original bounty hunter pledge.
I think there's a lot of comparisons that can be made with the Avenger Titan with this. It's got the same weapon hard points at least. The Avenger Titan can carry a vehicle. This can't, but the Avenger Titan does not have a restroom on it, which I thought is curious because I feel like they're going to implement that at some point.
It's also much faster. It is interceptor tuned. It is.
Yeah, this is interceptor tuned, and I wanted to say it is actually stealth capable. You can configure this into, slap some stealth components onto it, and I think it really does create a very interesting mix of capabilities, which is stealth, size 4 weapon right on the front. You can change that energy if you want. It comes with a default like a ballistic.
It's a ballistic
Revenant, I
Gatling
believe.
gun. Yeah.
Yeah. It does have a large air scoop, which I'm curious to see if will keep your hydrogen tanks well topped. Eventually, they are going to be implementing hydrogen usage by components, which is going to be interesting for a lot of people, I think, when they realize that some of their ships are gulping all their money down. But I think this is a good buy, worth a lot of consideration if you're approaching this game.
It's a fun ship. Like, it's the ship I've flown the longest in this game. It's incredibly maneuverable, very fun to fly. And then if you like fancy interiors and over-designed ships, this thing is like stepping into like a BMW or a Mercedes or an Audi. It's just like everything is fucking tricked out inside of it. It's got, beautiful glass, and like all the interior is cool, and it's got like runner lights and LEDs and stuff everywhere. It's a very pretty ship.
Yeah, I think everyone loves it. I do run it in the Arena Commander racing area as well, just because it's a very fast ship. All right, Origin, little military buggy. It is going to be quite interesting on what, it's very sleek and stuff, but this is supposed to be a military ship. Like, what is it?
I feel like it'd be stealthy, if anything, if it's Origin.
It's a gamble on what this actually is going to look like. I picked one up just because I had credit, like $5 or whatever. Spent $5, locked in a price. If it becomes really cool, I'll have one for $5. So, or locked in. So
they have the X1 and the fancy hover bike, which I'm sure we'll get to as well.
Argo, our last one for this video. This ship is very confusing. It doesn't have a tractor and it has very limited cargo capability. it's like
definitely needs
a
redesign. Yeah, which I'm sure
I forget how much it holds.
I'm sure with them redoing the the other cargo ship, they're going to change the role in this now that the raft is a thing. Because the raft is just almost, only a little bit more, and you get so much more out of it.
Well, I mean, strictly speaking, it's $100 more. So.
Yeah, but I mean,
this is, I don't know why anyone buy this thing in terms of its current functionality. That's why they had to they came up with some kind of flight blade for it. I'm like, well,
what's the
point?
What
is that for? Who's buying this thing?
Yeah, exactly. Who's buying it that feels that they need a flight blade for it? Like, who's racing this thing? Come on.
Yeah. This one is more interesting. This is the one that carries people. I think it's got 6 in the back and 1 pilot.
It actually comes with the Aegis, if I remember correctly. There's a little shuttle bay underneath for the Aegis that has. I think this is. We're going to see this being basic. I mean, exactly what it is. It's a shuttle. We're going to see this being shuttled to whatever station, to larger ships that are docked outside. I wouldn't be surprised to see this in future use in Javelin, because Javelins don't, they can only dock. They don't hang or anywhere. So I imagine we'll see that, and the Idris obviously has it integrated into it. So, or a an MP shuttle spot on it. So I think that's quite interesting. If you have a need for a shuttle, I mean, this is what you look at. This is the one I think most people, if you're going to buy it, I've bought it in game, but yeah, this thing's actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
It's a flying forklift with a tractor beam. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. It's got this crate, but what makes this as interesting is it has the tractors. It has one in the front and one in the back. So it's still single pilot, but I think it's very interesting. I think it brings the capability to some of the ships that might not have it. I think the biggest example would be Ironclad Assault. Ironclad Assault's not scheduled to have a tractor beam, but you could just have an Ironclad Assault gunning down everything that you wanted, open the top bay, fly this thing out and loot whatever ships and stuff you wanted. So go from there.
Where I see this being most useful is, especially now that the mining bags actually snap to grids like they're supposed to, I could see this being like, say you have a big mining op out in an asteroid belt and you're ferrying all of the mining bags in and out of a caterpillar. You have this guy load up extra bags, and then he pulls the bag off, sticks it on there, and then attaches it to the grid on there, flies it over to the drop-off point, drops it off in the caterpillar. This would be your relay guy who's going between all the miners out in the field.
I think that's actually quite cool to even think about. So that's a great use for it too. I'm not much of a miner, so I didn't even think of that, but I think that's actually quite an interesting use for it. And the last thing is this tugboat, basically support recovery, dragging a ship. I think this is going to be more interesting to see as the game progresses and we have more in terms of soft death recovery. The Liberator, is supposed to haul this stuff around, abandon, ships that are damaged. You're going to have
one of our
this thing picking them up potentially.
One of our org mates actually has one, and the other night we were messing around in the Idris, and we had another friend who was flying around in a Zeus and had his cargo hold full of stuff that we wanted to keep, and accidentally soft deathed the Zeus, and so we had our org mate bring in the SRV and we towed him to safety and got him repaired and pulled all the cargo out of it. It was actually pretty sweet. It worked out really well. So wow. I mean, it has its uses, so it does. Yeah. I mean, if you ever and it works, it's surprisingly well polished. Yeah. So, it's definitely has its uses. I don't know that I would pay $165 out of the gate for it. I would relegate this one to an in-game buy as well. At least for the short term. If there's a little bit more monetary incentive and it's just something that you really want to commit to, I'd say wait for until it's on a sale or something, or upgrade something to it to keep it. But definitely an interesting ship that has potential for having its own little branch of profession to use, because
yeah,
yeah,
I imagine they'll be able to, like they had medical beacons. I imagine once the medical beacons are kind of repolished,
tow and
this will
refuel.
be the same kind of function. You know, tow and you know, I'm down. I need get towed, basically a beacon, and you know they'll do the fuel beacons at some point as well. But yeah. All right, well that's it for part 1. We covered Argo, Origin, RSI, Greycat, Aegis. All right. Well,
Vehicle mods, new stuff. So I mean, that wraps it up. We will be doing the rest of the list on the next video. Any comments from you today, Perseus? Anything in last closing remarks?
Let us know in the comments if you got anything that you were anticipating, what you picked up, what your future plans are for your fleet. If we missed anything that we definitely should pick up. But otherwise, I don't got too much else. I'll see you part 2.
Yep. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you.